everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Modern Squid Podcast, where we get to know the people behind our favorite riders and brands. On today's episode, we have Shruti Singh. Shruti is the only woman to make it to the top of the Marsimik-La Pass, which is on the border of India and China and is nearly 19,000 feet. On top of that, the pass is now closed indefinitely by the military, so we don't know if anyone will ever get a chance to make it where she has already. On top of that, she's also a Royal Enfield ambassador, a coder, and a project manager. With that, let's get started. How was the trip?
Oh, it was fantastic. We loved it. We drove. The Philadelphia was really nice. It was cold there, and then we drove down to Tennessee and back to Texas. So everything went well.
I was following your Instagram, and I was so jealous of all the fall colors and everything I was seeing.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. It's the only thing I miss about not living in a desert is the fact that, you know, there's all those fall colors.
Even in Texas, we don't see much of a fall color. So when I was traveling, so St. Louis still didn't get that fall colors yet when I was there, at least. When we were driving down from Ohio to Philly, oh my God, there were so beautiful fall colors. It was all pink. I couldn't see green anywhere. It was all pink, gray, purple, yellow, the yellowish color. And it was so pretty.
Yeah. Oh. I know. I used to live out in the DC area too, and another thing that was nice was that during springtime we'd have the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the chance, you should make it up there at some point. The cherry basins around the basin are just so beautiful. So
yeah, I want to visit that once at least when I get a chance.
How did the puppy handle the trip?
He handled it very well. He didn't trouble us a lot, but just while going back home, I don't know, he sensed we are going back home. He troubled that day only, like he was all cranky and he wanted to stop, he wanted to eat, he wanted to do all the stuffs in the car, play and everything. So on the last day of the trip, the last leg, he was a bit cranky going back home, but otherwise he handled it pretty well. He was all sleeping, then playing with his toys and no trouble at all. So I'm really glad, for a puppy to do a 3,000 miles trip, he was pretty good at it.
Oh, that's great. Because, you could be really unlucky and get one of those puppies that have motion sickness.
Yes. Luckily, nothing happened. We were on the curves while driving down to Penn State. We were driving down through the curves and he didn't get motion sickness at all. He was like waking up from his sleep, looking through the window, enjoying the fall colors again, enjoying all the trees, trying to eat the wind and enjoy it throughout.
Well, you're setting a really high bar then, because now he's going to expect that all the time. So
I'm sure about it. Since I got back home, he's all bored. He want to play. So I'm just letting him play around the house.
Yeah, he was getting so much stimulation,
Of course.
So I think that last time, we covered so much, but we're going to recover some of it. It might take us some new turns, obviously, since it's a whole new conversation. But I do want to talk about the fact that you took over the Royal Enfield account for Instagram while covering some of the races for the flat track, right?
Right. So Royal Enfield launched this program of Build, Train, Race for the women riders, where you can approach Royal Enfield if you're a women rider and ask them to enroll in the program. They'll have the selection criteria. They'll select few girls and or women, I can say. They'll select few women and they'll give them the bikes and a specific budget to modify that bike based on the flat track. It's upon you how you want to modify it. They won't interfere in any of the things. It just should be of the flat track standards. That's it. And once you do that, you get to race in the American Flat Track Series. So there were 4 girls who got selected, and I was in Atlanta with them for the races. And they were amazing the way they modified the bike. I got a chance to take over the Royal Enfield Instagram page and got a chance to interview all the 4 riders who were racing on that event, and they shared their experience about how they modified the bike, what challenges they faced. during the modification period, were there anything like some parts that they were finding hard to find, or all those challenges, and uh, the bike that they made by themselves, how did they experience it on racing the flat track? Do they think they need any more modification, or is the bike perfect? All those things I got to share with them. um, it was amazing talking to those women and seeing the race, seeing how so it's like one of the bikers' dream that you get to race your own built bike. It's not some bike you just bought out of the store, or some a garage or mechanic build it for you. It's something that you have built it out themselves, and you get to race on that. So that's a pretty cool thing, I believe, to have.
Yeah, and my understanding is that they actually asked you to be one of the racers, but you want to tell us why you couldn't?
Yes, so they asked me. So I was one of the 4 people who was supposed to race, but then I had to go back from US to India for my marriage. So I couldn't get the time to modify my own bike. It was just 2 months left for me in the US, and I couldn't modify the bike in that time because it's like not a realistic time to have all the bike modified and then practice for the race and everything. So yes, that was the reason that I couldn't. But the next flat track series that's happening, so they're gonna give me a bike, and then I will modify it and hopefully race in the next American flat track series.
Okay. So while you were interviewing the ladies who were out there doing the racing, did you have a favorite? Who were you rooting for?
So there is this racer called as Melissa. She is an amazing person. She makes you she helps you. She makes you understand how you can modify the bike. And looking her race, she has those perfect techniques, perfect cornering of the bike, maneuvering it during the flat track. So she is one of the amazing. Not only as a racer but as a person, she's really humble and good. So that is what I like about the person, because you see there are some people who are like, who you find difficult to approach, who you couldn't talk much, and then there is this lady who you can just go approach about how you felt and if you need any help of modifying it. So she is one amazing person to talk to about bikes or just random stuff. Not only bikes, just random stuff. She's one amazing. She's my favorite. And there is this thing that Royal Enfield have launched this week that is called so now this build train race program was for flat tracking, and now Royal Enfield this week have launched it for road racing. So for all the women out there, it's your chance. You can go approach Royal Enfield if you want to do road racing for the next series, and Melissa will be the one that would be coaching you. So she has now become the coach for the build train race road racing program, and she'll be helping all the women bikers to make their bike or just ask for any help needed. And if any of the women wants to enroll in that, there's this one. Just approach Royal Enfield, go on their Instagram page, talk to them. They'll help you. They'll have the selection process and help you enroll in that program.
Now you'll have to forgive my ignorance about racing because I just got into motorcycles, let alone motorcycle racing. So you said that Royal Enfield had selected 4 people. Now, are those 4 women on a team, or are they individual competitors just happen to be supported by Royal Enfield?
They're just individual competitors. It's like for example, this road racing build train race program that they have launched this week. So if from women from anywhere across US wants to enroll, it's the same as happened for the flat track. So if I'm sitting at home, I saw this post about they have a selection for build train race program, I'll go and approach them. It's not a team or anything, it's just individual. And if they find you fit they'll have a selection videos and ask questions about how much you know about the motorcycles. And if you get through that, you get to race.
So, okay. Now, I think that you would just mention that people can approach or women can approach Royal Enfield if they want to be a part of it. But I thought that for you, Royal Enfield actually approached you to come and do the flat track. How did that happen?
So back in India, this starts from back in India. because I used to race motorcycles back in India, and I never did flat track racing or anything. I used to race on dirt. So in India, there is this event called as Ridomania, which is a 3-day event for all the Royal Enfield motorcyclists throughout the globe. I couldn't say India, but throughout the globe. I see people coming from Europe, coming from US, coming from different part of the world to attend that event. That's just specific for Royal Enfield, all the Royal Enfield bikers, not any other bikes. And it's there are many competition over the span of 3 days. It's like dirt race, slow race, obstacle race. Obstacle race is one where you have those tree logs, you have to cross the tree logs, big drums, and then a patch of ice, then a patch of slush, then a patch of grease, and then you cover all the patches. And if your bike doesn't fall, and if you have not touched your leg, if your points with those who have a maximum point wins. So, and there are some fun events like beer guzzling. Those who can chug the beer fastest wins, or arm wrestling. And over the night, like after 7 p.m., there are this famous DJs or the famous bands perform for us, and we have like a fun party after 7. So it's a 3 days event, and I participated in dirt race. I participated in assembly race, which is like they will give you a set of tools to repair within your bike. Like they'll ask you to repair a clutch cable or an accelerator cable, or just remove the front tire and put it back, and then drive your bike to a certain patch. So it's those kind of races I used to participate, and I won many podiums in the dirt race. And that is how Royal Enfield recognized me, that okay, there is this rider called as Shruti who won the dirt races. And that is how I got contacted with the Royal Enfield team, because I didn't know. In India, like 100,000 people ride Enfield, and Enfield to recognize you, you should have done something, right? They cannot recognize all the 100,000 people. So for me, I was one of the 100,000 people. But when I started winning the dirt races, they came to know of my name, and that is how I got how I got in contact with the Royal Enfield. And they used to call me for some Indian events or Indian launch. And I was coming 2 years back in 2018, I believe. I was coming to US for business purpose. My office is in Philly. I was coming to Philly for some business, and I thought that this is the last time I'm coming to US, so why don't I ride a motorcycle there to the mother road of US, which is like Route 66. And that is one of my dream, to ride on the mother road, because I've saw many documentaries on it. I've saw many people talking about it. So I'm like, why not? Like, I can ask for a 2 weeks leave and just ride and come back to India. And that is how I approached Royal Enfield India team, that can I get a bike there? Rest everything I'll arrange. I don't need a sponsorship or anything. I just need a bike there, because gears and everything I can carry along. And they're like, okay, let me see what I can do. And the India team got me in contact with the Royal Enfield US team. And there is this Brian from Royal Enfield who is leading North America, who is the head of North America, and she mailed me that, it's March ending. It will be snow throughout. Are you sure you want to ride a 500cc single cylinder motorcycle throughout from East Coast, West Coast? And I was like, yeah, of course I'll ride it. And she was like, are you sure about it? Because throughout Route 66, there are not many places you'll find the service stations if something happens to your bike. And I was confident enough that, okay, no problem. I have been repairing my bike since very long. I know what needs to be done, and I'll carry my gear enough. I know I was a bit overconfident, but for me, it was like, this may be the last time I'm in US, so I need to take advantage of the opportunity that I'm getting. So I was like, okay. So what I did was, while on the Route 66, because I couldn't find many repair shops, because me being first time in US, I don't know how things work here. It's different in all part of world. Like if you go to Europe, things are different there. If you go to India, things are very much different there. So I don't know how things work here. So me, before coming here, what I did was I researched on how the roads are, just on the Google Maps. I researched on how the roads are, and every city that I'm crossing, I took down, I made an Excel sheet and I took down at least 5 different road service numbers. Like, if something happens to my bike, I should call the roadside assistant. So I took at least 5 different roadside assistant numbers, details. Like, if one doesn't work, second one should work, or at least third one should work. So I took down all those things in the Excel sheet, kept it handy with me, and just drove down, not thinking about anything negative. I just started driving down, and luckily nothing happened. So at the end of the trip, they were really impressed by what I did, because riding through the East Coast during the March time, I started my ride in New Jersey and it started raining and snowing throughout. So I had like this thick layer of snow from my helmet till my boots, covered in snow. I used to stop at every 50 miles or 30 miles and then literally remove the snow from my helmet so I don't catch cold. And Chicago, I started ride at 4 in the morning. It snowed again. And it goes throughout. So my starting of the ride was all snow, and they were really worried about me because bike skids in snow. If you don't have a constant momentum, if you apply certain brakes, if the car in front of you apply brakes, your bike will skid. And luckily, nothing of that sorts happened. So they recognized me at the end of the ride, and I couldn't get a chance to meet Brianne when I was in US, the one who hooked me up with the Royal Enfield. So I completed my ride. They appreciated me for it. I went back to India, and in the Ridermania event, she flew down from US to there. And that is how I met her and spoke about my stories, spoke to her. And that is when she recognized me, and she was like, okay, if you're coming back to US, why don't you be a Royal Enfield ambassador? And I was like, that sounds perfect. I'll be back to US in a year, so let's talk then. So after a year, when I came back here, they're like, why don't you be the Royal Enfield brand ambassador? We'll be really happy about it. And I was like, it's all my pleasure to be there, because that's the bike that I have dreamt of since childhood. That this Royal Enfield is the one that I want to get. Royal Enfield has been one bike which is like one of the bucket list for me to get, or one of the dream bikes that I would like to get. So being the brand ambassador for them was really, really cool for me. And that is how, when the Build Train Race program came into the picture, Brianne knew that, okay, she races, so let's approach her and see uh, if she would like to do that. But I missed my opportunity to do that last year, but coming year, hopefully I can race again.
Wow. So a couple questions for you then. Number one, would it be accurate to say that you are a Royal Enfield fangirl?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the other thing is, I'm curious, how many women participate in the competition in India that you were mentioning?
So in India, when I used to participate, like past 2 years or past 1.5 years, I have been in US and traveling back to US and India back and forth. So before that, I used to participate it for 4 years. And it's not much, I can say, but there are around 25 to 30 female riders who participate in the races, because in India, biking for female is still coming up. Uh, if I talk like past 7 years down the line, or past eight, from at least I used to race from past 6 years down the line. So from past 6 years down the line, it was not a thing that women can race or women can ride motorcycle. If they see women on road riding motorcycle, everyone if I stop at the signal, everyone would just turn their head, and they would see that they saw alien or sort of expression, they would give it to me. So it's still a thing in India that, okay, but it's growing. People are changing. the mindset are changing. I get so many messages on Instagram of many male riders who approach me and say that, okay, I want my wife to race, or I want my wife to ride. I want my sister to ride. And she's of this side. She's really scared of handling a heavy bike. Can you give us some tips that I can tell her, and I can show your profile of, how you started it? And I am always happy to help. It's like, I will always help if someone wants to get into riding and they're really scared of it. I talk to them and I'm like, okay, don't worry, just go and take a test ride. It's not, the bike is 200 kilos bike, and it's nothing to worry about. It's very simple. You just need to know how to handle it. That's all you need to know. It's not that you're gonna fall off the bike. Don't get worried. So just I don't give them tips, but yes, I just motivate them to at least go and take a test ride. So that when you take a test ride, you get into that groove. Okay, this is fun. This is interesting, and I tell the men who approach me, I just tell them, okay, just take her on one of your rides, or just take her to some place, sitting on back of your bike. Just because that is how you get females in the family interested on biking or motorcycling, or not thinking that this is a difficult thing to handle. So it's still growing up in India. It's not as huge as I see it in US, but I'm glad that it's growing in India too.
Yeah, me too. It's always fun to see more people enjoy the same hobby that you enjoy, right?
Of course.
So, when you were doing the competitions, then do they have a separate category where women compete against women and men compete against men, or is it everyone together?
No, it's a separate category. So women can compete against women, and men's are the separate one. So that's a good thing about, because sometimes men have a lot of experience in it, and women are just getting into it. So making women compete with men is, they can. I'm sure there are many experienced female riders who can compete with men, but for the new people who are getting into racing, uh, it's motivating for them to see, okay, there are women competing and I'm competing against women. Because if they directly get into the competition, the men and women competition, and if I'm the first time rider, I'm telling I'll be the last one to ride, and I'll be the last in the podium. So it's a bit demotivating for me. Like, am I not performing good, or like, I need to improve? I know, but it's not as motivating as I can see. Like, I'm participating with women, and she's also encouraging me to do that. So it's a really good thing about having a separate category for women.
So I'm curious, would you also be interested if they had separated it into maybe novice, intermediate, and expert as like those levels versus men versus women? Or do you think it's just better to compete against women and have your guys' own thing in that regard?
So what I believe in is, they should have categories as novice, and then expert categories, and and they should give an option for women to participate in both the races, get into the women and as well as get into the novice and the beginner category. It's your choice upon which category that you want to participate.
Okay. So as you were going through the different competitions while you were out in India, what were the people's reactions while they were watching you do it?
They were glad. They were happy. So in India, I couldn't, when I was riding in US for the Route 66, I couldn't find many people or anyone to make me understand how the things work around, or how are the roads here, how are the routes, what are the road rules, you can say. And I was glad that if anyone approaches me, I could help them out. There are challenges that I faced which I can help them out, saying that, okay, just research on this a bit and go, just carry this and go, and just a little things, not how you can write, but little here and there about, okay, this is a bit essential here, just make sure uh, uh, you carry this, or if you're going on Route 66, make sure you don't stay here, you stay a bit ahead. These are the good places to stay. These are like a bit scary. I would prefer, like, you don't stay here and go ahead and stay there. So just here and there little things, because for me, when I was here, I didn't the challenge that I faced while staying is that I know the roads. I mean, I don't know the roads, but I researched on the Google and I thought I know the roads. And I have like everything handy, whatever I could prepare myself with say food or gloves or winter clothes or whatever. But again, you cannot find on Google which places are safe to stay and which don't. Google doesn't tell you that, or Google Maps doesn't tell you that. So it's the people that you interact with. So when I was Ohio is one, oh not Ohio, sorry, St. Louis is one place. So when I was crossing St. Louis, I booked a motel already, and I was talking to one of my friends in US saying that okay, I'm here, I booked this hotel, and you're in St. Louis, let's meet. And she was like, where are you staying? That place you shouldn't. Just I'm coming to pick you up right away and let's go and stay somewhere else. And like, okay, sure, that works, because I don't know which places are good and which are not. So that's one benefit of talking to someone who who resides there, or who knows about the area pretty well, understanding which are the where you can stay or where you can visit. Because riding solo, you're already riding solo, you have lots in your mind about the roads or the travel plan for tomorrow, how you're going to manage all that, the time you should start, the time you should reach, all the all the sightseeing places you need to visit and everything else. So I believe this should be one of the last things to take care of. And if you have a help, it's always good.
Yeah. So, the last time we talked, you told me that both your favorite place, but also the scariest place was the same state. You want to tell me about that?
Yes, so I throughout my ride, I really loved Arizona because it has mountains. So I'm more of a mountain person, and I got to travel in between the mountains through the curves, which I loved. I loved seeing. I'm at the top of one mountain, and I could see a valley in front of me with so many trees and pretty desert and trees too. So I really loved Arizona, but that's also a scariest place because I found many ghost towns within it, and I couldn't see people. I'm like, where are the people? Like, why don't I see people here? So that's one place I'm very fond of, and was a bit scary because of all the ghost towns that I came through in the middle, and then I wanted to stop somewhere just to grab a lunch or some snack, and then I was like, why don't I see any people here? Where are the good places I could find something to munch on? So, and the other thing is that for the Arizona thing, if some friend tells you that okay, this you should be careful of, you be super careful. Okay, yeah, this person told me this. So one of my dad's friend who stays in US itself, he was like, okay, if Shruti is riding to this patch of Arizona, it's a bit risky. Just tell her, just make sure she's safe. And that my dad didn't tell me. My dad spoke to my mom, and my mom told me, okay, your dad is a bit concerned of you riding through the Arizona patch, just be safe. And that was stuck somewhere in my head, and I was like, okay, let me be super careful of this place.
Yeah. Now, when you were riding through, what was the scariest ghost town, would you say?
There's this Navjot Hills near Arizona, somewhere I could say. So that's one of the scariest place, and it has a history to it. So it's said that the people who resides there still gets those creepy vibes, and so I couldn't see anyone residing at a specific patch. And it said that below that place, it have if you there's a tunnel below, and if you go below, you'll see all the human skeletons still there with everyone, if all the people killed, like more than 300 people are killed there, and there are still skeletons that you could see, and if you still reside there, you could get those vibes, and you should not. So that's one of the places that I visited, and I'm like, okay, let me just take pictures here. And that you can still access the tunnel, but it's said that the tunnel is jinxed, and if you try to go down, something bad will happen. I don't believe so much in superstition, but like me being solo on road, I'm like, let me not go down through that tunnel. Let me just click pictures and go from here.
So as you were riding Route 66, where did
Mhm.
you encounter the most traffic, would you say?
California. It's terrible. It's so. I looking at that traffic, I thought riding in India, Mumbai is good, because in India, Mumbai is one of the place where the traffic is so terrible. Like for just crossing 1 mile, sometimes you can do it in 10 minutes, and sometimes it would take you more than 3 hours, which is terribly bad. And riding in California, I felt the same way. I'm like, oh, I don't want to ride here again. It's bad. So, and I know in California you can shift the lanes. It's legal to switch the lanes, but there was no place to do that with all the cars on the road.
Yeah. I mean, I think California and New York are two of the most
Yeah.
famous places for their bad traffic. But I was curious how it compares to Mumbai and some of the bigger cities in India. So.
It
Um,
is terrible.
Now, you said that there's a lot of differences between driving in the US and driving in India. What types of things did you find the most odd about riding in the US?
um, the most odd thing about riding in the US is how the road exits are. Because in India, it's just like a straight patch of road, and like you find like two exits here and here and here, and you just go. There's nothing like that. So, and if you miss that exit, not a problem. It just connects again to the highway. It's like a straight connect to the highway again. So in New Jersey, when I was trying to figure out, it's my first day of ride. I don't know the US roads. I just know what Google Maps showed me, and I was really confused because I could see like 15 lanes out there, and I don't know what to take or how to go. Uh, while leaving from New Jersey, and I want to come on a state highway, it showed me many exits, and I missed one exit. It took me back to a second exit, and after like 5 miles, it brought me back to the same place. And like, what is this? It's so confusing for me about how the exits, at least in New Jersey, worked for me was very confusing, very much. It happened to me like 3 4 times, and I was like, for 30 miles, I was just revolving around few of the exits, and it was snowing. So I was getting irritated on it. Like, what is this? It's already snowing. I'm feeling cold, and I'm just reaching back to the same place again and again because I missed few exits. So it was really annoying for me that time.
Now, I think is New Jersey the state that there's no left turns,
Uh,
that you always have to kind of like you go to the
oh,
right and then it loops you around and you go straight instead of
yes,
going and
yes,
making a
yes,
left, right?
yes.
Yeah, I think
That's
that for me, I used to live out in New York, and when I lived in DC, I was taking my girlfriend at the time up to New York to kind of show her around my old hometown and stuff like that. And I hadn't driven through New Jersey as an adult, so
oh,
we hit New Jersey and we needed to go left somewhere, and it was such a pain in the butt because there were no left turns, and then it took me a second to figure out that you have to do this like little loop thing to come around and make left-hand turns. So even for those of us who live in the US, there are places that you ride or drive and you're just like, what's going on here?
exactly. That is what I felt, because me first day of driving, I already have to be conscious because in India we drive on the left side of the road. It's like a left side driving, and here we drive on the right side. So while taking even turns, or while uh, doing a U-turn or taking turns, I have to like really talk myself in my mind, like, go right, go right, go right, go right, because I'm so, my subconscious is this, that I will turn left, because that is how I've been driving throughout my life in India. And one fine day, you give me a motorcycle and tell me to drive on the US roads, which are all right turns. And I'm like, okay, this is confusing. So I already have to be conscious, and on top of that, making sure all the exit work out for me. It and that too on a when it's snowing and I'm all covered in snow, it gets annoying at times.
Oh yeah. Now you said that your favorite landscape to ride in is mountains.
Yes.
And that leads me to, and I'm looking up the name again. You had done the highest motorable pass at nearly 19,000 feet.
Yes.
And it's called what? Marsimik-La? Marsimik-La?
Yes. Marsimik-La. Yes.
Marsimik-La. And I believe you were the first woman to make it to that marker.
Yes, so I'm the first woman to ride to the Marsimik-La Pass, and I feel amazing about it. But when I think back about how we achieved it, it has like lots and lots of effort, and then crying within the helmet too with it associated with it, because it was snow, but the snow, and it was a steep mountain with that kind of snow and some. So there were two ways to go, which, like, one easy way that we can see, like, I can see the mountain just on the top of my eyes, and there is a way that I could find. And there is one way where the army vans were going through, which is like far away from our eyesight, but we could see army vans going through that road. So we being us, we thought, okay, there is this way which we can reach the fastest. Let's go from that route, because we could see that this is a shorter way to go. And riding in, like, that time it was like a 3 feet of snow with some ice patch, not soft ice but a hard ice where your bike can skid. So riding through that patch, we can reach there. It's a shorter way, so let's not take a longer way. We can go from here. While going from that route, at a specific point, the one who was leading us had his bike dropped like 5 feet under the snow. And we were so scared looking at, because we were just riding, and suddenly one bike dropped 5 feet down. And I'm like, okay, this is tough. We then removed the bike and everything, but we were scared of going ahead because we don't know what's ahead. Bike can drop like 7 feet down or 12 feet down. We don't know how deep the snow is. So we just stopped for a while, removed our helmets, and started talking, like, what should we do? Should we go ahead? Should we not? Or like, how can we reach to the top? And at the point was that at that specific point, we thought, okay, if our motorcycles cannot go, we'll trek towards the top. It's fine. At least we'll touch the milestone, take pictures, and come back. We won't ride. It's fine. But we don't want our efforts to, like, just. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
Yeah, one moment, Dad is calling me. So, we were like, okay, we reached this much. It's like few meters ahead of us. We cannot give up now. Let's find some alternate ways to make our motorcycles and us reach to the top of that hill. And we saw this army truck coming from far away, and we thought that, okay, if the army trucks are coming that way, the trucks might have created some dentures on the road. They might have created a patch so that we can go from there. It's far. The route is really far. But okay, at least we can reach. So we took our motorcycles down from that hill, went towards that patch, and it was more difficult because it was just not ice. So it was also when the army truck tires are like this huge, and when it create dentures, it also take out the mud which is below the ice, and then you have a slushy. It's ice plus slush. So it's all that you have to go through, and if your bike is not at the same momentum throughout the mountain, you'll skid really fast. It's a steep hill, you'll skid. So we had to make sure the bike is going on the same momentum with low oxygen on bike, and we are also having low oxygen. And we already covered a half the hill, so we are already we are breathing really heavy. It's a very heavy breath that we are taking. We are all tired. Our hands are all frozen. It's turning blue and everything. And coming back from the mountain, riding towards the other mountain where we could see army trucks passing along, having that dentures with that short dentures on the road with slush and ice both, because on the sides it's all ice and in the middle there is a ice plus slush patch. So having the same momentum on the bike, it's tough. And for that a kilometer, it was just a kilometer to the mountain, and to reach that it took us 3 hours. It was tough, it was tiring, we were exhausted, but somehow we made it. And I believe that we were lucky enough to do it, because to ride to that mountain, you have to take special permission, not from the cops but from the military people. So you have to get permissions from the military, and then you can ride there. But the after so that patch, that specific patch, is just open for 2 months in a year, and after that it closes down, and then you have to wait for next year to ride through that patch again. So we were lucky enough, because the year after that military just closed that thing for everyone. They didn't give permissions to anyone, because outside that border, it was a China-India border, and just outside that, the milestone that you could see, the Mars where it's written Marsimik-La pass 0 kilometers and everything, just across that milestone, it's the army base camp, and then a China border to it. So army just closed everything for us a year after that. So I was the lucky one who just got that last year to do it.
Wow. Now, how many people started on that trip with you, and how many made it to the marker?
So we were around 14-15 people that started, and towards the top just 4 people made it, because it was tough, because your hands was turning blue, hand were changing color. You were also bike is fine, but you were also low on oxygen, and the bike which is already low on oxygen, you have to somewhere drag your bike towards the top to reach the mountain. And for people, so we also help others. If someone cannot reach to the top through the throttle of the bike, we try to push the bike a little so that the bike gets the momentum. So 3 people get off the bike, try to push a bike a little, and help people ride towards the top. So we were even doing that, which makes us more tired, because dragging a 200 kgs of bike in a snow patch where your legs are skidding towards the bottom and just pushing him to go ahead, it's tiring. It's all tiring. It's 15 people started and just 4 people made to the top of the hill. So, but I really appreciate for all the people who opted in also, because that's a tough decision to opt in to ride at least half the mountain. It was tough to do that too.
Wow, so you really stuck it out then. I mean, it's already a small number of people who are willing to make that decision to go make the trip, and then it sounds like an even smaller number of people who are capable of finishing it. And then you're the only woman, right? So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Wow.
It's fun. It's all adventure. So I always think in the mind that I have opted for it. It's not someone has forced me to do that. So I cannot cry about my decision of doing this.
That's right. Now, you said that the government has stopped giving people permission to do the pass now. Do you think that when you guys were there, were they annoyed that you guys were there, or were they just amazed and happy?
They were really helpful. So they were like, okay, we have given you permissions, but you need to make sure of certain rules. You should not step even a single, you should not take even a single step beneath that, the milestone symbol or a milestone thing. You should not take a single step ahead, because it's shoot at sight order. It's a secretive military base out there, and our operations are going on, and there's this China border. So it's shoot at sight, and I'm telling you right front that we cannot help you. If you step beyond that point, we won't be able to help you, because that's what we follow. And we were okay with it, because of course military has its own set of rules, and we are asking military permission that can we go to your pass, because it's a base camp for them. So we followed everything, and throughout the route, when they saw us struggling so much, they were kind enough to us because the trucks were coming down too. It was not just we going up; there were trucks coming down to military trucks, and they were kind enough to ask for, "Do you want water? We have fruits. We have oranges and apple. Do you want some? You seem really tired." And they were so helpful. We were just overwhelmed by the gesture because it's not their job to just ask, just provide water, food for us, but they were really helpful for that. And they were supporting enough. They were like, "Oh, you can do it, you guys can do it, it's just near, it's just here, just few steps and you are there, just few throttles and you'll be there, it's not difficult, come on, you guys can do it." So they were very supportive, which made us more enthusiastic and energetic. Okay, let's do it. Okay, what are we doing here? We came for this, let's do it, kind of thing.
Well, it's got to be comforting to know that if something happens, someone's around because, a lot
Right.
of times when people go on adventures and go through these like super high passes and really challenging things, there's not that many people around.
Yes,
So
and the good thing is that they also offer for you. So if you're feeling low on oxygen, or if you're not feeling good, they offer you to get admitted to the military, this medical care. So they get you into their cabins. They get you treated by a medical officer. So they are there to help. It's not that they disown you because you're a civilian. You're not a army man, but yeah, they really take care about all the civilians too.
that's great. Did anyone from your group take them up on their offer and get a little bit of oxygen while they were up there?
They did. So it's not on the Marsimik-La pass, because to reach Marsimik-La, it's like a 3 day drive, a 3 day ride from a snow cladded mountains. It's not like one day we go and come back. To reach to the base of the mountain, it takes us 3 days through a numerous mountain patch, which is more cooler, which is more cold, and which has like more snow to it. But the roads are clear, so we can go easily. But yes, it's snowing, it's again cold, the temperature is in minus degree Celsius. And there are so we feel low on it's all low on oxygen levels. But there are people who might have some health problems already, who feel low on oxygen, and who are not well. So they did we so there were two people on our team. We were around 25, 28 riders, I believe, who rode throughout that those mountain patches. And uh, two people from our group had to talk to military to get the oxygen and get treated by them. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was all fun.
That's awesome. I mean, it's good that they asked for help when they needed it because sometimes people try to be stubborn,
Right.
because you know how people are sometimes. No, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, and then they're like, you know.
Yeah, last moment, I'm like, you were fine a while ago. What happened?
Now, my understanding is you've been on a number of adventures and going through lots of different countries. So, first off, what is your favorite type of environment to ride through?
I love mountains. The
Oh,
favorite type I could say about just mountains, not the beaches, nothing at all, not the straight road mountains. So the countries that I visited are all the ones which has mountains in it. So there is this Nepal, Bhutan, other countries that I visited. Sri Lanka didn't have a mountain, but it was a neighboring country and a good one to visit. I loved it too. But Nepal and Bhutan are the two countries which I loved. I really loved it. Loved visiting it.
okay. And was it strictly the landscape or was it a combination of the people and the food? What were the parts that made it the best for you?
So it's so while riding, what I feel is it's what makes it more fun is talking to people, getting to know the culture of how they live, or what kind of food they eat, or just the general culture of them. So that is what I believe in, and I love visiting the places which has the combination of everything that I could find. And I was really overwhelmed. I was emotional in Nepal because when I visited in Nepal, there were landslides happening. The rains were so heavy that it just the rains just cut a piece of land and made it flow to the water. So when I was in Nepal, at night 11 in the night, we were stuck because we had a landslide ahead of us, so we cannot go ahead. If we think of going back to some city, we had a landslide behind us. So we were really stuck at the middle of the night with no food. You can say with no food, and we were confused on what to do. It was a very small village. Uh, we couldn't see any shops around that we can grab some snacks or some chips with us. We couldn't see anything, and we were really confused on what to do. So we went to place where we saw a house in front of us. We just knocked at their doors and we asked that, is there something, some motels or something that we can stay? We are riding and we got stuck here because of the landslides and we don't have a place to stay. So do you know of something nearby in this village that we can ride to? Or at least we can park our bikes here and walk to that place through the landslides. And the villagers were so kind enough that the door that we knocked, the lady went to their neighbors and spoke to them, and they opened the door for us. They're like, you guys come and stay with us. You guys take our rooms and our hall and our bedrooms. We'll sleep on the kitchen floors if needed, but you guys should be comfortable and you guys come and stay with us. At the middle of the night, all the people in the village woke up, cooked food for us. And that midnight, it was almost 12 by then, and they started cooking food for like so many people. And they offered us food, they offered us warm water, warm blankets, and everything that they could find at their places to make us comfortable, which was like very surprising because at such remote places, you would be scared to open. Like 15 people are in front of your door, you would be scared to open the doors. Like, what would are they goons or what? Why are these people here? But they were not scared. They were very very humble, and we slept throughout the night. The next morning when we woke up, it was very surprising because when we woke up, all the villagers gathered around at near the place where we stayed, and they put music. They put the Bollywood music, and they started dancing with us. They were dragging us to dance, and they were announced. They got some mic from somewhere, and on the mic that they were announcing that our brothers and sisters from the neighboring country have come here to ride. So let's everyone come out of their house and let's dance and let's cheer them up because they had a troubled night. They were stuck here and they had landslides. They're gonna face many more challenges ahead. So let's cheer them up. And everyone from that village came out and started dancing for us. We were so happy and we were like, okay, fuck the landslides, fuck everything. We are gonna ride now with so much of energy because these people gave that to us. We were really sad about it. Like, what is this? How should we plan the road trip ahead? What should we do? What should we not do? But they made us cheer us up all. They made us happy, and we had a great journey ahead. So it's all the food, the culture of the people, the humbleness of the people that I found there was amazing.
Wow, that sounds like such a fantastic experience.
It is.
I am curious about something then. You said that you guys spoke to them.
Mhm.
What's the language in Nepal?
They understand our language, so we speak Hindi,
Mm-hmm.
and India majority of people understand that language. So it's the same for the Nepal. They have their own language, but they understand the Hindi being like one of the universal Indian languages to speak.
Oh, that is very convenient. That's great.
It is very convenient for us. In the Bhutan, same things. In the Bhutan, we didn't speak Hindi much, but yeah, they understand Hindi, but they prefer speaking in English. So it's like Hindi and English are one of the combination that is like universally understood by all the neighboring countries we have. So it's nice.
They understand English. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That means I can visit Bhutan and I don't necessarily have to be able to speak fluent.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting. I would have thought Now, I mean, maybe my geography is wrong, but I would have thought maybe Chinese was more prevalent near Nepal as a second language.
And they don't understand Chinese as much because uh, uh, so there is this old saying since like generations and generations, like India, Nepal are brothers and sisters. So they for the job purposes as well, Nepal people come to India side for the job because Nepal is a bit small country, and to find major opportunities, they do come to India side and find opportunities here too. So they speak Hindi and English, but I don't think so. They know Chinese as well.
Okay. Um, I might be. Oh, I'm thinking of Tibet. That's where I'm getting confused. I'm thinking of
Yeah,
Tibet.
Tibet knows. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um, so let's see. Okay, cool. This is one we covered last time too, but I'm still I find it really fascinating, so I'm going to ask it again. This is shifting gears a little bit, but what is the reputation of Royal Enfield in India?
It's a huge reputation back in India. So we had this advertisement that used to come on our television generations and generations ago, saying that there is this train track. The train is crossing, and when the train crosses, there is this thing that closes while train to cross and the traffic to stop. So there was this Royal Enfield, was the person was riding Royal Enfield, and the train is coming from here. Royal Enfield is coming from here, and the train stops for Enfield. So it's like let the elephant on the road pass, and then the rest of the things will follow. So it's like considered elephant on road. And there's this old saying that came from that advertisement too, that I was not born in a royal family, but Royal Enfield made me royal. So, and that is continued even now. So, if you go to any part of India and if you're riding Royal Enfield, people turn their heads around. They're like, he's riding the beast, kind of thing. So, it's one of that high reputation, and still people want to get. There are many other bikes in India, but people would prefer getting Royal Enfield still because one is it's easy to ride on roads in India. Traffic, with the traffic that we have here, it's very easy to ride, and it can take us to mountains as well as roads. So it's one of the bike which you can take to any of the mountains nearby, or if you want to ride on city roads, it's for both purposes. So you don't need to get a special adventure tourer to ride on mountain or a specific road bike. This thing can do both. So it's a pretty big thing in India.
Nice.
And if you visit India anytime, you'll find like thousands and thousands of Enfield on roads.
So you said that they kind of compared it to an elephant, right?
Yes.
What is the significance of elephants in India?
So elephant is treated as one of our gods in India because we have this elephant god. I can show one to you. I just have right here. So it's like one of the big gods that we have. So you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like our elephant god for us. And to start something new, the first thing we do is pray to this elephant god. So it has that uh, respect level of respect on road.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people won't know the significance of being compared to an elephant in India, you know, and so the fact that the ad, and I guess I am a little curious, in the US, people might get upset if you compared a brand to God, for instance, because they would consider it blasphemy.
Yeah.
But it's not like it didn't come across that way in India. It sounds like people actually liked it.
People liked it because first, when the Royal Enfield started, we didn't had any other motorcycle company in India that time. I'm talking about decades and decades ago, at like my grandfather's time, I could say. We didn't see any heavy motorcycles on road. Now we have many other brands coming in with adventure tourer and heavy bikes. But at that point of time, we didn't have any heavy bikes. And Royal Enfield launched with a 200 kilos bike. and that was the heaviest and the most expensive bike you found on road. And being heaviest bike, it that is also one connection to the elephant, that it's the heaviest bike on road. And
Mhm.
elephant being one of the heaviest is like it's like riding an elephant on road. And you get that respect to, like, you are riding, oh wow, Royal Enfield, it's the heaviest bike, you got that. And it's like one of the most expensive bike too of those times. And you're riding a Royal Enfield, like the most expensive and the heaviest bike. So you got compared to riding an elephant on road. And that
Wow.
is why I don't think so people took offense on it, because that was the only bike you could find which can be compared to an elephant on road.
Okay. Now, I think that Royal Enfield was a British brand, right? I think they used to make them out in the UK, but I believe they now make them in India. Does that sound right?
Yes, they had that in UK. And now the complete power plant and everything, the design structure is still done in UK, I believe. I might be wrong, but the last time I've spoken to, I think the design structure, the research on the engines, and the design is done in UK, and it's built in India.
So,
Everything assembly and build is done in India.
what was the reaction in India when you guys started making the Royal Enfields in India?
We were excited. We have a huge plant in Chennai, which is like the southern part of India, and they still do like the tours within the that factory. There are factory tours happening, and we are really excited to go and visit the factory tour, see people making Enfield from scratch, paint to the painting the tanks and everything. We are really excited to go there and watch it.
So, do you feel almost like it's an adopted brand now that it's also part Indian?
Yes, so it's we don't consider as of now, frankly speaking, we don't consider as a UK bike. It's an Indian made bike. It's an India bike. So it's it's like we don't whenever we see an Royal Enfield, it's like, oh, it's an Indian motorcycle.
Okay. And I assume that there's some pride in that now that you guys are making them since you loved them for so long, it seems like.
Exactly. Yeah, we have that own pride. So all the people who still stays in the countryside of our in India, they if you give them preference of buying like the most expensive bike or a Royal Enfield, if you give them like $1 million and ask them which bike you would like to buy, the most expensive one or a Royal Enfield, they will still prefer buying or getting a Royal Enfield, like 10 Royal Enfield instead of that $1 million bike.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, people complain a lot when things change, because humans just don't like change.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I think that if Royal Enfield was going to leave the UK, I can't think of a better place for it to go since the brand is so loved. You know,
exactly. It's loved, as well as like that's one bike I like because it's so budget friendly for me. I can take it on the mountains, and if my bike falls, it's natural. Like if you're riding somewhere new on a new patch, you can tend to your bike can fall. It will happen at times, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, okay, my bike fell, what will happen? I should not worry about expense. I should enjoy riding and forget about what if my bike falls. Okay, I don't want to spend like hundreds and thousands of rupees preparing it. It's so budget friendly that if something falls, I know it's within my budget. I can get it I can get it repaired. Nothing to worry about. It's like that kind of thing. It's the buying the bike is also budget friendly with the experience that it gives, and repairing the bike is also very budget friendly for me. So I can take it on some ride, and if something happens, I know I can fix it again.
yeah. Okay. So now I also know that there is another brand that you like,
Mhm.
and tell me about the Ducatis and how did you discover your love for Ducatis, and when do you think you'll end up owning one?
So I went. One of my friends tried Ducati, and I just when I asked him, "Can you give me a ride? Can I ride your bike for some miles here and there?" was like, okay, sure, here you go with your bike. Here you go, the bike keys are here. Just go and have fun. When I rode Ducati, I really loved it. And then I went to the showroom. There was this new Ducati launch. I don't know which bike they launched, but yeah, one of the new bikes they launched, and they invited me for the launch party. I went there, I took a test ride of it, and I loved it. So I'm like, okay, this should be my next bike. I mean, Ducati should be one of my next bikes that I want to have. So I really had that in mind. And I'm sure I'm gonna get it one day. But currently, I'm very happy having a Enfield with me and riding places that I didn't find need to get Ducati. But yes, that is one of my bikes that I would love to have.
So I don't know if you guys have the same sort of joke in India, but out here, at least in the community of motorcycle owners, there's this joke of how many bikes do you need, and the answer is N plus 1, where N equals the number of bikes you currently have.
Yes.
So it's like, everyone always wants more, you know.
Right.
And it's like
I was about to, so I was like, I was about to buy a Ducati, and I already had in India. In India, I had like two, and yeah, I had two Royal Enfields already, and I was like, I'm going to buy a Ducati. But then my parents were like, okay, you already have a two bikes. Let's spend, just go and buy a home instead. And then I got a house, and then everything came on the backtrack. Okay, I'm gonna get Ducati again. But then I came to US, and then riding Enfield here. So I'm really happy with it. Yeah, but I'm sure I'm gonna get Ducati one day.
okay. And I hear that your international license had expired and you had to wait a period of time before you were able to get your US motorcycle license. How long was that wait, and how anxious were you to get back on the road on a bike?
So yes, I when I was coming 2 years back while Route 66, I came to US. I got my international driving license. Went back to US. So international driving license only have expire after a year. So again, the next year I renewed it. Came to US again for work purpose. Um, I didn't get a chance to ride then, but at that time, I was coming to meet my fiance too. So that was the first time I was meeting him. So he took me on some rides and everything. So I used my motorcycle license then. So when I married and came back here, my driving license has expired. Like I didn't renew it again with all the marriage thing and everything going on in India. It's a huge thing back in India. It's like a week of wedding, which has like 3 months, 3 4 months you have to start preparing it, and not even 3 months, you have to start preparing it 6 months early. So that time I didn't get chance to renew my license and those things. I came to US, I didn't have license, and like, what should I do now? I have a bike, I don't have a license. So during that night, it was for 6 months time span, I didn't have a license. Those many months, I don't remember the exact, but approximately that. I didn't have license, but yes, now then I went to those DMV classes and everything, got a license, but then COVID happened. So my bad luck.
Oh man, I know it threw a wrench in everyone's plans. I feel like,
Yeah, and I still have the endorsement receipt, but I couldn't get my motorcycle license yet because DMV appointments are like, I'm getting it in December or Jan, I don't know when. So I'll work with the endorsement for now. I still have to get the license thing done yet.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough. So I took my class, I think in April before everything shut down, and they give you this little card that shows that you passed it, and you're supposed to go to the DMV, you give them the card, and then they give you a temporary license, and they send you in the mail your new license with the motorcycle endorsement in the back. But what I found out was in Arizona, they started letting people do it online.
Oh.
So I called them, and basically the lady was like, yeah, take a picture of it, upload it on the website. So I took a picture while I was on the phone with her. I uploaded it into the DMV website,
Yeah.
and she looked at my account and she's like, okay, I see it. And so she said, okay, pay your money. So I went in and I paid the money for it. And she emailed me the temporary license. And then the new one
Wow.
came in the mail like 2 weeks later.
Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah, I
it
just
was
haven't
great.
flipped yet. I don't know if Texas does that. They should do that. It's amazing. I have that slip yet. I still have to get the license thing done, like get the actual license. But I'll check this out. I didn't know about this. I'll check this out if it is there in Texas or not.
I didn't know either. I waited, I think, 2 weeks where I was just going, oh, I wish I had could get my license, And I was online in one of the Discord servers I'm a part of, and someone was like, oh, I think Arizona lets you do that online. And I said, what? And so I, got on the computer, and I really couldn't get anything yes or no on online. So I just called them and I said, hey, I hear that I might be able to convert my my card that shows I passed the class to my motorcycle endorsement online. Is that true? And the lady's like, yeah, we can do it right now.
I'll check that out then. I didn't know about it. I'll check that out on Monday.
And I don't know if Texas does it, but again, I mean, they might.
It doesn't harm checking thing out. Like
Yeah.
if they do it that way, amazing. I don't need to take DMV appointments and wait there for like 3-4 hours to get my license.
Oh yeah, because DMVs are notoriously slow. When you have to visit in person. So even in Arizona out here before COVID, I would try not to go to the real DMV. We've got private DMVs.
Okay.
And so it costs a little bit more money to go there, but there's a whole bunch of them and they're never busy. So you can get so much done without going to a real DMV.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I'll check that. Thanks for letting me know.
Sure. You'll have to keep me posted. Let me know if Texas does it.
Of course.
Now, you had mentioned that you'd gotten married, and that's one of the reasons that you came back to the U.S. How did you meet your husband?
So in India, we have something called as arranged marriage. We have matrimony websites where I put my details like my height, my body type, my skin color, my salary, the profession that I work, and other like 15-20 different things. And I also add the same details for my partner, like what I would need in the partner, like with exact same thing: height, weight, body type, color, salary, what profession do you want your partner should work in, and all those details, like what are your preference for the partner. I put everything in that app, and then that app gives me like it gives me hundreds of matches, but like the best 15-20 match it gives me daily. You swipe right, swipe left. So my parents used to do that. So it's like arranged thing. So my parents used to find what they would prefer as a partner in me. They would give me access, like you also search a bit. And that time I was like no, I like you do it. You know my preference, what I'm looking in partner. You do it, and just give me the final list of guys. I'll check that out, and that is how I met my husband. So my parents first spoke to their parents, and they really liked it. The family interacted and they liked it, so they're like, okay, this is this guy, would you like to talk to him? The parents are really cool. And I was like, sure, why not? And before that, we have a thing of being Indians. We have this thing called as we try to match the astrology of both the people, like me and my husband's astrology. um, and so that's like the first step of good. I don't believe in it, but it's something that if our parents believe, we are okay, like it doesn't harm. So the astrology matched and everything. That is when I contacted my husband, like the first conversation. So I believe our parents spoke, do you want to speak, like what are you prefer time to speak? And when I spoke to him, we really clicked on the adventures that we do. He loved car. He have visited like 48 states in US already. and he loved adventure. I love adventure too. We have a different mode of adventure, but it's the thinking is the same. Like what I do is on motorcycle, and what he do is on cars. But then the passion is the same. The things that we do is the same. So we really clicked on that, and that is how we spoke for a while, and then we were like, okay, I can marry him, kind of thing.
Wow. And now how long was it from the time that you guys met until you got married?
It was a year long because he was in US and I was in India. We have like Zoom calls, but or WhatsApp video calls, but we never met. And without meeting a person, like we planning a marriage, like he coming to India and for like a few days, and then planning a marriage is come. I was not okay with it, neither was my husband, because we never met, we never spent time. And then luckily, I was coming here. Can you just give me a minute? My puppy is playing with his toy. I'll just give you a minute.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back.
Okay.
So it was a year-long process because we never met. And suddenly, I don't want to meet my husband on like the day of the marriage. So that's something that we both didn't agree on. So we thought like, I'm coming to US and for work, so why don't we like spend our travel together, like let's travel somewhere together and see how things work out. Because what I believe is like, when you travel with a person, you know the habits and the nature of the person that you don't know with just one or two meetings. So we traveled. We traveled for quite long, like 2.5 weeks of travel we did with our friends and everything. We went to I think Michigan. Yeah, we went to Michigan. It was in December. We had like we enjoyed the snow. We went to Michigan, Detroit, came back to Texas, Philly, and all those places. Yeah. So that is how I met my husband. And after meeting, we're like, okay, let's get married now. So it was in last year March we had engagement done in US itself. Sorry, last year August we had engagement done in US, and then last year December we married in India, back in India. We flew down to India.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, that's really cool. Everyone's got their own approach to things. And I don't know that there's any real perfect approach, you know what I mean? Because plenty of people who, were friends for a long time and get married, end up getting divorced, and people who elope sometimes get divorced. Like there's no guarantees no matter how you end up getting married. So
Right.
I think I don't know. I think that's one of the better ways, like having the families meet and, taking the time to kind of make sure that your interests align and stuff like that. So
Yeah, because the thing in India is it's just the thing that we say is like, in India it's just not husband and wife getting married, like not two people getting married. It's like the whole family gets married. And family doesn't mean my mom, dad, and my sister. It's like the complete like 50 relatives that we have, like all my uncles, aunts, and Ankit's family, like all the 50, 100 people that we have, like we all get married. We all get into some kind of relation. And because my aunt becomes his aunt too, then his family's aunt becomes some relation to our family too. So it's like a complete mixture of like 100 200 people having some relation with us. So that is why we say that it's in India it's just not two people getting married, it's like all 500 people included in that process.
I mean, that makes sense,
Yeah.
So one of the things I mentioned last time, and I'll mention again this time, is that your clothes, both you and his, were just so cool.
Thank you.
And I know you'd mentioned that there was something somewhat special about your dress from the wedding. And you want to tell us again?
Yes. When we were kids, we always have that dream. Okay, this designer dress looks good. When I get married, I want to wear this dress, this designer dress. I want to grow myself financially, or you can say in career wise, to that level that I can afford that dress. And while affording that dress, it doesn't mean that I don't have money in my bank account, just spend everything there. It's just like I should have enough that when I spend on that, I don't mind spending on it. Like, it should not be having all my savings there. So when I was a kid, I used to have one designer. Like, there is this Sabyasachi designer. He's one of the famous wedding designers across globe. So he designs wedding dresses amazingly. So I always wanted to wear that designer dress. And when I was getting married, I'm like, okay, mom, let's go and check. So when I flew from US to India to have the marriage preparations done, because Ankit was in US. He cannot fly to India. I can. So I have to go back to India to do the marriage preparations. And that is why I left the Build Train Race program, that because I had to fly down to India to do the marriage preparations. So my mom was like, let's go and check out dresses. And then I was lazy enough. I'm like, yeah, we have time. So just for fun, my mom told, okay, let's go and check out that designer dress you want to wear always and you talk about it. Let's go and check out that. And I was like, okay, fine. I just jumped out of the bed. I'm like, okay, let's go. It was that excitement for me, because knowing parents, they always say that, okay, don't spend much. You should learn savings. You should learn to save money. You're about to get married. You should learn how to save this, how to save that. And when my mom said, okay, let's go and check that designer dress, knowing it cost like hundred thousands of rupees, I was really happy. Like, how can what just happened? Like, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, let's go. And when we went here, even my mom liked it. And she was like, okay, you look pretty in this. Why don't you get this? It's one of your dreams. Like, fulfill it. It's fine. And I was so happy seeing the excitement on her face and knowing that I'm going to spend so much on that dress and still she's okay with it. She's not lecturing me about saving that money. I was so excited and happy that my family supported too that decision. And I was like, okay, that is how I got the designer dress, which cost me around $6,000-7,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Indian rupee, I can say it costed me around 600,000 rupees.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But it really was beautiful, though. The pictures are so fantastic as well. And you mentioned before that you can actually use it for more than just the wedding, right?
Yes, so the dress, the one reason that I like the designer dress is because the wedding dresses are very fluffy. They have those things inside which makes fluffy. And because of that, you cannot always wear in all the functions that you get. And here, this dress, they have this attachment which you can remove from being fluffy. It has that attachment to it, and you can just remove and just wear the dress and go as a normal. It looks like a normal dress too. So, which will make me like, I can mix and match with a different top, with a different style altogether. I can mix match that dress with a lot of different variations, and that dress would just not be for the wedding purpose. I can use it on the multiple functions that I get, and it won't be like, I see you wear. Yeah, why do you always wear this kind of dress? It won't be the same dress always. I can do many mix and match with that. So that is one thing that I really loved about it. Is just I'm not spending that much for just one night. That is something that I can use for always some other functions too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kicker for a lot of wedding dresses in the US is you basically, however much you pay, you're paying for one day.
Yeah.
It's like clothes for one single day, which makes it, in my opinion, because I do accounting as my day job, it's like I'm always thinking about money, and it's like, oh my God, that's just so much money to spend for one day, but knowing that you could actually use it for other like fancy
Right.
occasions and dates and different things like that, makes it a lot more palatable to spend that kind of money on clothes.
Exactly.
Now, you said your husband's also really into fashion, and he also has an interesting story that goes along with his wedding clothes.
Right. So, my husband, he loves dressing up. So, when we were looking for his dresses, he was in US, and what he could find is just whatever is online. He cannot go to showrooms in India. In US he cannot go, of course, because there are not many Indian showrooms here we can find Indian dresses. So you of course have to see the online websites of all the Indian stores. And majority of them were so frustrating because when he used to log in from US, he see the different collection which is on the US website, and they pick up the VPN. You cannot just shift like I want to go to the Indian website and see. So he used to get frustrated with that, and we were just talking about what kind of dress he wants. Like I can go to Indian stores and see and video call him and show. That is what I was doing. I used to go to stores, the designer stores, video call him just to see. But the video call experience is also not that as you see in person. So there was this Bollywood movie in India, which showed the story of a king and a queen of a certain generation. So when we were looking at so that movie, it's one of the famous Bollywood movies we have. And when I was talking to him about what kind of dress he wants, and he was like, "Do you remember that movie? The king, the dress the king wore, it looks really cool. I want that kind of dress. I would like what there is this caste system in India, and the caste that we belong to are of the king and queen castes, the branches." So he really loved it, and he's like, I would want to look like that in my wedding. And I was like, okay, sure. Where do I find it? Like, which stores do I find it? Do you have a designer in mind? And I tried finding stores online. I couldn't find it. He tried finding. He couldn't find it. So what he did was he watched that movie. He watched the credits of the movie then, and saw scroll through all the credits till the end, where he could find the name of the designer who designed the dress for that actor in that movie. And he told, okay, this designer designed it. Do you have a store? Do you see a store anywhere? And we researched on it. I saw a store in Mumbai. I'm like, okay, I do have a store in Mumbai. I can go and check it out. I went there. I showed them, okay, this is the design that I'm looking for. And he was like, okay, yeah, we can make it. This is our design. We can make it. And when I went to collect that dress, he told me, the store manager told me, so this dress is just, till now, I have just built 2 dresses in whole India and whole world. You can say it's just 2. And one was for the actor, and the one is the one that you are taking now. It's just 2 handmade dresses that we have built for this. And I go, oh, you're the second one wearing that dress. I used to tease my husband, you're the second one wearing that dress in the world.
That is so cool.
It is.
Now, I also saw that you guys had a really cool video made. And I'd asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. I noticed that you guys blend the 2 languages, the Hindi and the English.
Yeah.
Why is English making its way into your wedding video?
So it's basically the video that we made was predicting how we met, and it is also like how we are, but we also want to connect it with the people who are coming to our wedding, the relatives and to the guests who are coming to our wedding. So for us, we know English and Hindi, both the languages. We are comfortable with both. But the people who are coming to the wedding, because it's just not like our aunts and uncles. It's like our grandmoms, and then we have many grandmothers, because we just not call one. I mean, the one grandmother that we have, and to the similar age, we have our aunts and uncles who we also call as grandmothers, because they're of that certain age. They're of some 80 or 90-year-old. So we call them grandmothers too. We don't call them just aunt and uncle. So they don't know English very well. The reason being, English started after independence. Like after independence, we got Hindi schools. There were Hindi schools. There were not even English schools. And to get English into the curriculum, English schools were very expensive those days. And we are the generations where our parents got us enrolled into the English schools. Before that, our parents also used to go to some Hindi schools. Majority of the parents, I can say, not all, but yeah, majority of the parents used to go to Hindi schools. So that is how that is why they don't know English pretty well, like a lot of relatives. And we, knowing English and Hindi, we thought let's build those two cultures in the video and express what we feel, like how we met and all the things around us, what we do, what we are. Let's express that in video with all the two cultures embedded in it.
Oh, that's very nice. Now, how much of the creative process came from the video production team, and how much came from you guys, or was it just a pure collaboration between the two of you guys?
We gave them the dialogues that you see in the video, Ankit speaking, me speaking. That's all us. That's the script. The script writing is all done by Ankit. It's him. It's my husband. So he wrote the complete script. He wrote the complete gist of it. Me and him discussed what concept do we want around the video, and the production, the editing part and the building of the video was totally done by the production team, but the concept and the script writing was done by us.
Wow, that's impressive, because
Thank
it
you.
was very creative, and I thought it was beautiful. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Speaking of beautiful things, again, I see you're wearing those earrings from last time.
Oh yes,
Um,
I have like my sister makes this beautiful earrings. So she handmade these ones and sell on the SD shop she have. So she have this shop as Prachi's Women's Art, and she make like really cool, pretty earrings you can see with hand, and she have this Christmas collection going on. So if you also want to get one, just you can go
yeah.
to her shop and get one for your girlfriend or your fiance.
Yeah, and that's it's funny because that's one of her favorite colors too. My girlfriend's
Oh,
anyway is
really?
that
Yeah.
like teal blue. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you said before your sister is also a scientist, and now she's also doing some handmade art. That's really cool. I mean, what kind of science does she do?
So she was always bookish. Like since she was a kid, she was always into studies. So she really loved chemistry very much. She used to found it interesting to how all the chemical mix and what are the mixtures, what are the formulas created, and all those things. She used to get intrigued by those things, and that is what she pursued. She pursued chemical engineering back in India. And then there is this, as we have NASA here, back in India, we have something called as ISRO and DRDO. ISRO is for like how NASA works here, and DRDO is specific for the military, the army military purpose. So she used to work with DRDO on their projects, and she got some awards for it too. She has some patents on her name. She got some award from the National Science Institute and everything. So she is like that brainy scientist, and if I ask her about her work, she tells me something, and it just goes like bounce or it just bounce my head. I don't understand the thing. I'm like, okay, you're doing something, I know. So that is how. And then when she came here, she pursued her master's in again chemical engineering, and then she used to work for different companies. She works for Philips, and now it's like now she also does this handmade earring, and she has this handmade jewelry shop.
Wow. I know that a lot of people sometimes get stuck in just being one thing, and I think sometimes it makes people I don't know, it makes them one dimensional, right? So it's really nice when
Right.
you see someone who is also analytical but can also be creative at the same time. There's
Of
some
course, yeah.
I find them to be some of the
That
most
is what
interesting people.
I'm really impressed how like from being a scientist to this is like completely it's like a North Pole and South Pole thing. It's like I couldn't if you said tell me she's a scientist and she also loves art, I'm like always intrigued by it. Oh wow, that's fantastic. So and I was to see my sister grow. I was really happy. Like, okay, you love arts. You started your own business. She have those marketing mailers coming out, newsletters coming out. She built content out of it. She have those content creation by herself, marketing by herself, and all those things. So I'm really glad that she have both passion and work together. She's taking it uh, along really well.
Yeah. Now, I think you did software engineering, right? And then you moved into project management, it sounds like.
Yes.
What kind of software did you work on?
So we used to work on a software called as Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which used to manage. I used to develop it. We used to it manage all your companies. It's like a SAP which manage every detail of your company, give you revenue details, forecast your revenue, and all those things. I used to develop that software, and from that field, I started learning more of a management perspective. And there was this company which I was also working as a developer, but also doing some additional work. And that is how I grew into manager role within that company. I'm like, okay, I can take up more responsibility, more work. And then I love the management side of it too, like designing the timelines, architecture, and talking to clients, understanding their requirements and everything. That is how I got into the management side of it too.
Wow. So now, what do you see as your future career path? What's your goal?
Uh, let's see now. I really like being a project manager. So let's see how much I can grow more into this role.
Okay, so wait and see, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Now, what does your husband do?
He's a senior software developer with a company with a G transportation. So he works as a senior software developer, and he really
Okay.
loves it.
So you
Yeah.
guys have something that you can talk about in common then?
Yes, yes, that is one more thing that we really clicked while talking to each other. We were like, okay, we have something common to talk to, and because you want a partner who can understand your work too. So if he comes and talks about his office work, he's stressed with something, he talks to me about something, I understand that concept or that part of his life, and he does the same for me. So that is something that again clicked us for getting married. It was not just the adventure part, but also something that common that we can talk about.
Yeah. Now, does he ride motorcycles?
He rides motorcycle, but he loves cars. He would prefer riding a car instead of a motorcycle.
What's his dream car?
I'll ask him instead. What's your dream car? Ferrari. He says
Ferrari,
Ferrari.
okay. I used to live in Italy and those things were all over the place out there.
Yeah, we currently have a BMW, but yeah, Ferrari one day.
Yeah, I saw you guys got a 4 Series, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are
430i
it's
series, the
beautiful.
convertible. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and you were mentioning that one of the reasons that you guys decided to get it was they had the hard top convertible, right?
Yes, yes. So I was looking into a red Audi. I really like red color, and I saw red Audi, a convertible, and I was like, I want to get that. But Ankit loved the BMW 4 Series that we have now, and he sold me on the hard top. He was like, see, it has a hard top. It's good when it hails in Dallas. It's really bad when it does. It is good. We can convert it into sedan when we like, when we want, we can convert it into convertible. I'm like, yeah, you sold me on that. Let's get a BM instead.
Well, and like I said before, it's way quieter to have a hard top convertible than the cloth convertibles. Those things can get so noisy, you know. So
It does, yeah. I'm really glad with what we got.
yeah,
Good
I mean, it's really
decision by
nice.
him.
Now, speaking of artistic sides, I think you mentioned you used to paint. When you did paint, were you oil painting, acrylic, watercolor? What was your medium of choice?
So I used to have watercolor paintings done. I used to paint. So there is this two painting exams in India. It's considered as one of the good top exams. So I gave those exams. I got a grade in it and everything. But then I left it because job, and then studies. There were a lot of studies to do. I had science. I took science stream, so I had like many studies. I used to paint, but I didn't find time for painting as much I used to do before. So that is one of the hobby that is like left behind. I should have continued it further, but yeah, that's something that left behind.
Well, with lockdown, maybe you can take up painting again.
Yeah,
You
I know.
can paint motorcycles in the outdoors and, everywhere you wish you could be at the moment.
Right.
um, Now, I think you also mentioned you love to dance, right?
Yes, dance. And the other hobby that I didn't mention it last time, but it was something with me till the end, but I didn't continue it further again because of all the studies and everything. Was I was really good in martial arts. I won many state level championship and all those things. So that I continued it for a very long time, and that is something that I'm looking forward to do again. Like once the COVID things really slows down, I'm gonna enroll in a martial art class now. That is something that I'll start again because that is one thing that I really loved doing it. I got many gold medals in many of the karate championships. Um, my name was recognized in the newspaper and everything. I have state level champion. I won state level championship. I won national level championship. And when I was trying to go to international, I had all the exams and studies with me. So right now, colleges give they promote sports, but during the time when I was in college, it was not promoted as much. Studies was given utmost importance. So my grades were like not lowering down, but yeah, it was affecting my grades, and I'm like, okay, let me do studies more. And that is something that I left behind, which I'm gonna start again.
That's really cool. I've done martial arts since I was a kid, basically, and I had to stop at some point when I was an adult just because work got so busy and the classes have specific times. There's no flexibility.
Yeah.
Um, but when you get back into martial arts, do you see yourself getting back into karate, or do you see yourself maybe trying jujitsu and Muay Thai, or?
I'm still double minded on karate or jitsu. Those two things are still like I'm thinking. So once this COVID things gets a little low, so because Texas is like number one right now, so I'm really worried about going to some classes or
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So once the count like gets a little low, so I'm trying to go to a class, talk to trainers, what they would prefer, what they suggest, and then enroll into one.
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends on why you're taking the martial arts, right? Because if you enjoy the exercise and the camaraderie and things like that, I mean, anything that you choose can work. But personally, I don't like grappling. I did
Okay.
striking, like I did karate, I did taekwondo, I did a little bit of kung fu, like I
Yeah.
did a whole bunch of different martial arts, but they were all pretty much striking. And so as I got older, I thought, most fights, if you end up in a fight, end up on the ground.
Yeah.
And I never did any wrestling. I never did any jujitsu. So when I joined martial arts again, I went and joined an MMA club. And so we did jujitsu and Muay Thai and boxing. And I don't know. I feel like, if you don't have any, I don't know if you do or not, but if you don't have any grappling skills, I would encourage you to get into jujitsu, because then you're kind of become more round, right? Because then you can
Okay.
punch someone in the face and you can choke them.
I'll take this.
Uh, and as far
Yeah,
as self-defense goes, I mean, jiu-jitsu is like the great equalizer, because you don't have to be big and strong
right,
to do jiu-jitsu and choke someone. Like,
of course.
you cut off the blood to someone's brain. It doesn't matter how big they are. They're going to fall asleep.
Right. That is why I'm considering those two, because karate is something that I have like done till now. I know what it is, and jiu-jitsu is just things that I'm hearing from all the people around me. So that is why I just wanted to talk to someone and understand like what are the difference between them, and like what is beneficial, then I can think upon what is beneficial for me to carry on, like what I want, when I understand like a proper difference between those two. And this really helped me understand it.
Yeah, and this is again coming from someone who doesn't really like to grapple. I much prefer to kick and punch people than I
Right,
do to roll around. But it's
of course.
just it's so helpful in real life if anything happens. Like
Right,
I felt like I was being negligent to myself if I didn't learn something about grappling. Yeah.
right, of
So
course.
anyway, that's my own perspective, but I love martial arts anyway. It doesn't matter. Like I say, I don't like grappling, but that's like relative, right? Like I
Of course.
prefer to punch and kick people, but I still do enjoy choking someone. Like it's,
Right.
but I've always been a germaphobe, and that's been part of the issue with me. Is like when you're grappling, you got people like sweating on you, and
Yeah,
you're like
yeah,
hugging
yeah.
them and stuff, and it's to me it grosses me out a little bit.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, you'll have to keep me posted. I'll be curious to
Of
see what you
course
get
I
into
will.
because
Yeah,
karate's fun too, right?
sure. Of course. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted on what I choose.
Yeah. Do you think you'll post it on your Instagram if you get
I
back
will.
into it?
Yes,
Okay.
I
I wasn't
will.
sure because some people like to like have their motorcycle stuff on one account and then like day-to-day stuff on another account. Yours, I went through it before the interview and I see that you did have sort of a mix, but it seemed like as you got closer to current, it was more and more motorcycle. So I wasn't sure if
Right.
you.
So I don't like keeping two accounts because like that's not who that account is for me. Like that's all who I am. If I'm traveling by car. If I'm on motorcycle, I'm on motorcycle. So it's like what I do, I just post it there on one Instagram page, and it's easy to handle one page instead of having two accounts and handling two accounts. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think I have 5 or so. So
Wow.
it is a lot of work. It's not as much now because the other ones are primarily photography related,
Ah,
and I'm not doing any photography while COVID's going on, so they're kind of
right.
just sitting there for now. Um, but they overlapped for a little bit when I first got back from Nicaragua, and then since then I've just kind of put all the photography stuff on hold, and I'm just gonna wait, take pictures of my bike when I'm out, and then when there's a vaccine or something, I'll start taking pictures of people again, and then my other accounts will get active. But,
I think we all are waiting for vaccine to come.
oh my
Let's
gosh.
see. We are so tired sitting at home. Even like I'm also waiting. Like when will I start martial arts, karate, or whatever jutsu? If I want to join in, then will we have a normal life again?
You just got to get the husband to get some pads and, you can start working with him.
Right?
You can say, hey, this is how you take a kick. Stand there. And
Stand there, hold that. If something happens, not my fault. I'm on me. I'm just starting, so you have to take few hits too.
that's right. What kind of karate was it? Did you guys do Shotokan or what was the type?
So we had like the just the martial arts done. Like we had like kathas and all those things. So the basic martial arts I started with.
Okay. Oh no, I just mean like there's different styles of karate, right? Like my style that I took was called Chishin-Ryu
Mhm.
karate, and then the biggest one in the United States is probably Shotokan
Okay.
style, but it's all karate. You know what I mean? It's just
Right, right, right.
if you trace the lineage, they've got different people who started that line of karate or whatever. So
I
yeah.
didn't know about that.
Okay. I don't know if it's big. I don't know if it's a big deal everywhere. I know in the U.S., a lot of the instructors would try to impress people with like the lineage. They would say, "Oh,
uh,
my instructor did this and his instructor did that, and you can like trace our martial
right.
arts all the way back to this person in 1000 BC or whatever." But
Interesting to know.
yeah. Um. So, did you watch Karate Kid?
Yes, I did.
The,
It's an amazing movie. It's amazingly good movie.
And
I
what
loved
about
it.
the new Netflix show though? Did you watch
The
Cobra Kai?
yeah. Cobra Kai. I watched few episodes of it. Then I went to travel. Then probably I watched now again. I'll start that again. I watch. Yeah, I really liked it how it goes back to those old times and then comes back, and then he's trying to build up the classes, trying to figure it out how to start it again. I like the show.
Yeah. All right. So I got two more questions, and then I think we can wrap it up because it's getting kind of
Sure.
late on a Saturday, and now I've made you do this twice. So,
Oh, no, my God.
so the first question is kind of a basic. How did you first get into motorcycles?
So I used to hear stories about my dad riding motorcycles in college and impressing the college girls and all those things. And I used to see my uncle riding motorcycles through the mountains. So I'm like, I used to ask my mom, like, I also want to ride motorcycles. I also want to get one. So, and they were really scared. And the motorcycle that I want to ride was a Royal Enfield always. I used to see the advertisement, got influenced by it, and I was like, I want to ride that motorcycle. And they were really scared of me. So when I was in college, school, and I asked like, okay, I want to go to school, buy me a motorcycle. So we went to a showroom, and that time I see this Honda FZ motorcycle, and I was like, I want to get this one that time because that I also thought that me being a school kid, I should not get a Royal Enfield which is of a 200 kg bike. Let me start from the basic, and I'll eventually get there. And that time, my mom was like, okay, that is like too heavy bike, right? It's the automatic motorcycle for now, which is like we have this active, I don't know you have the brand here, but we have this automatic motorcycle which is like no gear shifting, nothing, just accelerate that throttle and you'll reach. It's that ways, and it's very easy. So I never got a geared motorcycle. So I used to have that. I used to ride it in the school, and I was like, okay, mom, now export this. When I got into college, and I was like, I'm not college. I started earning. Then I started earning. I saw my uncle posting trips of those Himalayan mountains, those snow mountains, riding there. He's going on a treks and everything. And then I'm stuck with work because that time I just started working, and those initial fresher working phase, you know how you get all the work and you want to prove yourself in the office and all those things. So I used to work a lot that time, and when I used to see uncle's Facebook page filled with motorcycles, I'm like, I think I should get one motorcycle now. I went back to mom, and my mom was like, I told mom, I want to get a Royal Enfield now. I am earning well, I'll get a Royal Enfield. And that was the time my dad was coming back to India for like a week. And I'm like, dad is coming. I'll take him, I'll get a motorcycle. And that time my mom was like, let's get the motorcycle that you asked me about, that Honda FZ motorcycle. Let's get that one. Royal Enfield will be too heavy. I'm like, no, I'm not this time. I'm not getting into that trick again. I'm getting Royal Enfield. I'm getting the motorcycle. So when my dad came to India, the instant my dad landed, like my dad opened the door and came inside the house. I'm like, hi dad, how are you? Let's go get a motorcycle. So I didn't even ask him, do you want rest? You need rest. It's been a long flight for you. I'm like, let's go get a motorcycle. And that is how I bought my first Royal Enfield.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Your mom tried to get you to get an FC.
Yeah, she was really worried about me.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I'm glad you ended up with the Royal Enfield because you seem so happy with it.
Yeah, of course, I'm glad to that. The first bike I converted, after a year of me riding on roads, I modified the complete bike. I just kept the tank, engine, and seat, and removed everything from the bike and made it a dirt bike. So that's the first bike that I'm close to. I raced on that bike. I drove on that bike, so I really enjoyed it.
Wow. So the next question, last question, is you love to travel, and I understand you started traveling on your own quite early. So how old were you when you started traveling by yourself?
So when we used to have summer vacations in India, I didn't like staying at home. My sister was a very bookish person. She doesn't want to go outside. She want to take some course, some classes, read some books, and not novels. Some some no, school books or some book that will give her knowledge instead of novels. So she used to do that a lot, and I used to get very bored by it because I had my karate classes that time going on. But I didn't want to stay at a place for 3 months summer vacation. I just couldn't. So I want to go to some place, and I asked my mom, like, okay. And the thing is that the reason that I started solo traveling is my dad doesn't used to stay with us because he used to go on projects, office projects to some different countries and just come once in a month at home. So he had work. He had work at some different countries, constructing some different plans and everything. And me being two sisters, one doesn't want to go out and one wants to stay at home. One wants to go out. My mom had to choose with whom should I go. Like, she cannot be at both the places at one time. So when I was in 8th grade, I like frustratingly told my mom that this is enough. Like, now, because of my sister, I have to stay at home for like all my summer vacations. I don't want to do that. I really want to go to some place. So in 8th grade, my mom was like, okay, I cannot be at both the places at the same time. I have to be here with your sister. So what you can do is you can learn solo traveling. So she took me to the airport, got me. And in India, here you are allowed inside airports. In India, it's not allowed. You have to stay outside airport. Once you enter the gate, the gate of the airport, it's all you. There's no one. So that's the difference between India and US airports. And once you get in, like me being 8th grade kid, I don't know what to do. So we went. My mom, when she was getting in, she told the security officer that she's a kid, she's traveling solo. So can you just ask her flight attendant, like her flight people, just to take care of her till she reaches the flight, because it's the first time she's traveling. And that too through flight. So they were good. The officers were good. They asked me where to get the tickets and everything done. I went inside. I did everything on my own. And being the kid, there's an advantage. People help you a lot. They take you to the sped. They will walk you towards that check-in counter and help you with it. So that was the advantage I got, like being the only kid with no guardian around me. So I learned a lot. That is how I learned, talking to people, asking them for help, and understanding how the process works, like from walking to the security gate to taking the tickets and walking towards the security checkpoint, moving your shoes or belt or watch, whatever is needed. So you need to that is how I got into solo traveling, and more about talking to people and experience and knowing what they feel like. And that is how I started solo traveling, and till then, like, I enjoy traveling a lot.
So 8th grade, is that what, 14 or 13 or?
Yes, somewhere around 13 years, yeah.
Wow. And so where did you end up going though for that first trip?
So first trip was in the northeast India, which is like the the top eastern side of India. It's like a state called as Meghalaya, which is again filled with beautiful mountains, beautiful valleys, waterfalls. It rains pretty well there, so you have beautiful waterfalls, beautiful all green roads and everything. So my aunt used to stay there. My dad's sister used to stay there, and I went to that place because my mom cannot be like, okay, I'll book your hotel tickets also. You cannot say the 8th grader that go alone on a flight, stay alone, travel alone, and come back. So she started with me. Like, she used to send me to all my aunt's place if I want to travel, so that they're there to take care of me, that there to make me travel or make me see places around their houses and all those things. So that is how, like, I went to the northeastern side of it, and I loved it. I loved being there, and that is how my love for mountains also came in.
So were you hooked after that very first trip?
Yes, I enjoyed a lot. I was confused. But I also did enjoy the experience of how you can talk to people, because being in school, you only talk to friends, you talk to your teachers and your neighbors or people around your neighborhood. You don't go and talk to some random person asking for some random help. And that is what it made me learn throughout my journey, that how you can talk to people. And over the trip, when you are there on the northeastern side of it, you have to learn the culture, you need to learn how they live, how they do things around that place. And traveling solo also made me learn that you have to talk to people to understand how their culture is. So when I was there, I spoke to like the neighbors around. We used to travel places, and then they used to tell me stories of how things work there, or how things are there on their end. How so, like in the northern eastern side of it, it's women who run the family. So in India, it's said that there are men who run the family. So the men goes to work during the medieval times. I'm saying of that age, like men used to work and women used to uh, women used to run family, but men used to work. The women used to cook and take care of the house, and men would get in the salary. In the northern eastern side of it, it's women who work and men take care of the house. So it's like completely different thing that I got to know in the eighth grade. And I came home and I'm like, Mom, that I really love them. The women there are really cool. I want to be like them. They run the houses, they go to work, they go to farm to fetch, to cut the crops or harvest the crops or do those things, and they really run the houses really well. They take care of kids also. So I was really intrigued by the culture that I first saw, because me, since being a kid, I always saw, I didn't ask. I mean, this is not a thing to us, but what we see is what we know. So
Yeah.
I always saw like dad going to work, mom taking care of us, mom teaching us, mom making us do our homeworks and all those things. And I never saw a women who were going to work and men doing all the things. And that is what I saw in the northeastern side of India, which interested me to know more of the cultures around the world. And that is why I travel, go there, travel to different states, talk to people how it works there, and know the culture of there.
Was that the most shocking difference in culture you've encountered in your travels so far, or have you since then run into something else that was more shocking to you?
I think that time being a kid, it was really shocking because I've never seen that culture anywhere. Like uh, it's said that okay, now also in nowadays both the people work, men and women work equally, and they share the house equally, they do the works like 50-50, they share the responsibility. But still, if you go there, the northeastern side of it, still the women does the work, and there, because it's a very village countryside of it, so there still women work and men run the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. I had no idea that India had a state where that was the case. You
Yes,
know?
even I didn't had any idea till that age, and I used to. Then I went after summer vacation. I went to school and I told all my friends about it, and they were shocked too. So
Did they believe you, or did they think you were making it up? Or
they didn't believe me at first, but I was very adamant. No, you go and ask your parents; they would also know about it. It's true. I'm telling the truth. So yes, it was fun experiencing it, and even now, if I see, it's something unique that I don't see anywhere across the world. I could say I don't know if there is any state. I might be ignorant, but at least how much I know, I don't know any state where men prefer taking care of the house and women going to work.
yeah. So I keep saying last question, but I keep thinking of more things to ask you that I'm curious about. So let me see what time it is. Okay, so it's 11:05. I have an appointment at 12, so I'm going to ask one last question, and then it has to
Sure.
really be the last. What is your dream trip that you are planning?
One is doing the South America border to border. So that is one ride that I really want to cut it off my bucket list that I want to do is ride from border to border throughout South America, experience the culture, experience the road. I've seen online photos and many other rider photos of like how the roads are, how they cross this thing, this mountain, that mountain. I'm like, I want to do that. I don't know when gonna get the chance. Like, I think once all these things get over, probably I'll plan it then. Um, but yes, that is one thing I really want to do.
Wow. Well, I look forward to seeing you document that on your Instagram too. And hopefully someone else maybe interviews you after that so that I can listen and hear about your stories, because I love hearing about people's travels, because I love to travel. And if I can't travel, I want to hear about other people traveling. So
Of course. I do that. I do that too.
all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode of the Modern Squid Podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to follow along with more of Shruti's adventures, you can follow her on Instagram at girl.on.himalayan. And if you don't think you'll remember that, then you can always check on my website, where I will also have a link to her Instagram and many of the things mentioned in this video, including the commercial regarding the Royal Enfield and the elephant. Until next time, have a good one.